Good
morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chris.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. I'm very well, thank you very much. Good morning to Open Minds Saturday Live Chat Show. You may wonder why I'm laughing. Today there's a slight change in the show. Our guest was unable to appear at this present moment. So today, which is going to be absolutely hilarious, I'm going to introduce Chris Shearer, and Chris Shearer is going to interview me. This is going to be fun. Obviously, the show must go on, and this is real life, and this is how it rolls. So, how's your week been, Chris?
Long.
Long.
It's been an interesting week. Good morning to the viewers. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. So just to reiterate again, anyone that comes along, unfortunately, our guest is unable to appear. So I'm going to interview the amazing Chris Shearer, and Chris Shearer is going to attempt to interview me with his skills. I'd like to add at this point, I have lost all my heating, all my hot water. So if I do turn into the ice queen and grow icicle horns, just get a hairdryer and, thaw me out. It's absolutely freezing in Hot Fuzz Village. So good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. So Chris, the show must go on.
Certainly must.
And I have to restrain myself from asking you improper questions, obviously. So you go first. You go first, Chris Shearer. You may interview me and be very careful. Do not be brave. There could be consequences. Go.
So, Gloria, what is it that interests you in the spiritual movement?
Lord, that's quite a vast. I could say anything, couldn't I? I'm not interested in the spiritual movement itself. I am interested in spirituality and all that goes with it. Yeah, all that goes with it. The unknown, I think, is a simple answer. I'm interested in the unknown. I'm interested in the unknown.
That's a bit vague, Gloria. Come on. What sparks? What makes you tick, Gloria?
What makes me
to know what makes Gloria tick? What is her interest in?
I knew this was going to happen. I do hope that your wife Karen has insured your life, because she's going to be a very rich woman soon. When I finish with you.
We have our guest.
At last! Yay! Welcome, Laura.
Gloria, you got away with that one. You're very, very lucky.
Would you like to bring her onto the screen, Chris?
I certainly will.
You've saved my life, Laura. Good morning. I was just about to eliminate Chris Shearer from this planet for interviewing me. Welcome to Open Minds, Laura. How are you? Oh, we can't hear her, Chris.
We can't hear you, Laura. You're muted.
Hello. There we go.
There you go.
Hi. Welcome to Open Minds. Firstly, Laura, I would like to introduce you. So everybody, Laura runs the Twilight Ghost Hunts Events Company, which has been running for around 6 years. However, her witchy side has been with her since she was a very young child. Today, Laura is going to share her journey and how she fully embraced her witchy side, and will share with us some of her journey, her knowledge, and inspire other witches to come out of the closet. Once again, welcome, Laura, and thank you for saving Chris's life, because he would have asked me the wrong questions.
Oh, I would have interrogated her, Laura, don't you worry.
He would have interrogated me, and I would have had to you know, he would have had a demise. Let's put it that way.
I can't promise something much better, but
yes. So you'd actually saved Chris's life, so he owes you. I would like to add also, Laura, if I shiver, I'm very sorry. I have no heating, no electricity, and I'm soon to turn into the Ice Queen. So, yes, I know.
Heat your way.
Send it heat. Send the heat. Send the heat. So let's start. Let's start today. It's been fun already. Laura, what can I say? Where did it all begin with you?
Oh, very tricky. I think, do you know what? When I was little, growing up, it was always my nan who was. I think she was kind of like a little secret witch, but maybe she didn't even know. And she'd kind of show me the fairies at the back of the garden, and we'd leave little presents. We would always kind of be very into nature, you know, always leaving food for animals and stuff like that. And it kind of put me on like a natural path, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it kind of really heightened when I met my best friend at school, because she was very much into the same kind of things as I was. All the other kids seemed to be bothered about boys and girls and, you know, what they were doing. And we were kind of like, oh, what about aliens? And what about ghosts? And what about doing spells and stuff like that? And yeah, I guess we were kind of the weirdos. But we kind of blended together, and we just had some really like weird kind of synchronized moments, I guess, together.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it started, really, but we didn't really understand any of it. Do you know what I mean? What was kind of happening or what we were really doing. So it's been for a long time, but I guess it kind of really kicked off when I started ghost hunting, because it kind of opened up that other side, I think, to everything.
So, Laura, just to ask you, because I'm sure the viewers will want to know, what is a witch?
Oh, what is a witch? Oh my gosh. Well, unfortunately, we don't have green faces and red sparkly shoes. That's the really sad part, because I really want the shoes.
Oh God.
No.
Did you have any warts and, you know, a cauldron in your kitchen?
No, I have a rogue hair that grows on my chin from time to time, but that's about it. And it's true, it's like right there, right now. But we don't ride broomsticks. I think it's someone, I think if you were to kind of put it into like, I don't know, like a sentence, it's someone who cares very deeply about nature, and we kind of work with the elements. And we're healers at the end of the day. I think kind of when you look back at, you know, centuries ago, women that were accused of witchcraft, essentially they were healers, and they found alternative methods to kind of look after people. So it's quite a natural thing, really. I think everyone, you know, boys as well, you're all little witches and warlocks, or whatever you want to call them.
Chris, do you have a question?
So do you do spells, Laura? I'm so intrigued.
I do indeed. Of course. I have a couple, actually. We did one the other day. I have the remains of two here. So this was the leftovers of a little calming and anxiety spell that we did. And that's just some simple
Chris needs that today. Chris needs that spell today. He does.
Oh, I have to send you the ingredients in the post, because it actually works really, really well. I think because you're actually looking at the flame as you're doing it, you are kind of in a form meditating. So it is just a calming thing to do for kind of 10-15 minutes. Obviously there's, you know, ingredients and like a little routine that you do. You wrap the string around the candle, and then we have like other forms of magic, like we do little bottles. This was one, again, this was for depression that we did the other day, using crystals that are inside and different herbs, and all the herbs have like different meanings. So it just kind of really depends on what you're needing at the time, and what you can do. There's other things like rituals, like baths you can do. You can drink tea as well. It's homemade as well. That's also like a witch's remedy. It's kind of holistic, isn't it? Really, I think witchcraft stuff, you know,
holistic medicine and holistic way of life. Can I ask the question? And I'm not minimizing witchcraft. Obviously, people ask the question. Do you do like ceremonies? I mean, oh, come on. I mean, I've seen the films, you know, not the Three Witches of Eastwick, but I have seen the films. You go in the woods and you do nature ceremonies. Do you do this as well?
We have done. It's not something often, mainly because I guess I'm kind of like a bit of a solitary witch. I do a lot of stuff on my own. But that kind of obviously gets shared when I do like the ghost hunt events at the weekends. We always incorporate the witchcraft. just because I think it's a really nice grounding thing to do. So we do go into the woods. We have a beautiful location in Gloucestershire, in the Forest of Dean, which is known for its witchcraft history. And we go into the woods, and we're all in a circle. We do light candles safely in the woods, I might add, as well. Sometimes we have lanterns. We don't always have candles. But it's nice to have one candle because you obviously have to represent all the different elements. And we had a beautiful one. I think it was in October. And it was just so lovely because there was only a few of us, all brand new people I didn't know. And it was just so nice to kind of involve them in that particular side to what we do. And I mean, they were all boys, I mean, like really tough, like proper geezers, do you know what I mean? And they were just kind of standing there with their hands shaking and the whistle like, oh my God, we're a witch, this is weird. And they were so lovely. They really embraced that side. And I think actually it was kind of, for them particular type of men, it was actually really grounding and quite calming, to be honest. And we had some really cool results come through as well. We were calling forward everything. And we were taking photos after. We got a very cool photo of what appeared to look like smoke that went like it looked like the side of a witch's face, kind of the nose and the hand.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Well, that follows on to the question I was going to ask. Obviously, we're all fully aware of the elementals. So does a witch work with the elemental energies of Mother Earth? Is that how you work?
Yes. Yes, and I mean, I suppose every witch works differently. I definitely work along that side myself. Like I said, a lot of it, elementals, it's all nature as well based as well. You're kind of in that moment wherever you are. It's depending on what you're working with. But definitely in the forest, 100% is. Sorry, my door has just opened. It's someone dropping something in. Yeah, it depends where we are, but in the woods, definitely always work with the elementals. There's so much to work with there. It's beautiful.
So I want to ask you, Laura, on a serious, when they talk about witches and they say covens and all that sort of stuff, and I'm sure our viewers have heard of that term. Are you part of a coven, or are you on your own little journey in your own unique way?
Do you know what? I'd say a little bit of both. It's not like an official coven at all. I mean, anyone that comes to Twilight, you're instantly part of our coven. We're a little weird family. I don't really work in a coven. I mean, I've got particular ladies that are on my team, and they're also very much into the witchcraft side of things. We do occasionally do things together, but I definitely think I'm more of a solitary witch at heart. I just kind of find my peace a little bit better, and I kind of feel more centered when I'm on my own. It's more calm, I think. And the second you go into a coven, it's definitely always a power battle, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's always going to happen.
That's anywhere. Anything's a power battle.
Absolutely.
Even in mediumship, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
You go into a Zoom room, you've got a power battle. As soon as you walk in, you feel it.
Yeah.
When you do, I'm really interested in the ceremonies, and obviously I've seen all the films, but I've seen some documentaries as well. I have a fascination. I can't talk. I'm so cold and freezing.
Oh.
I have a fascination for witches and oracles and things like that from back in the day. What would you say that attracts your journey to that area of spirituality and not another area? What is it about becoming a witch? I know that the name witch is just a label to what you experience, but however, what is it that attracts you to this type of energy and working with the play of words and spells, energies and vibrations? What is it?
Firstly, I think one, it's just different, and I've always been different. Even when I was little, all the girls wanted that kind of Barbie. I wanted the other one. Do you know what I mean? I've always been different. So that's probably the first thing. I think it just lends itself very well to kind of, I don't know, the two paths that I've gone over have kind of blended really well together. The witchcraft side, you're dealing with things you don't know. It is really interesting, kind of once you get reading into it, and you can really get sucked in and absorbed. And it's a really beautiful world to get lost in. I've found the more that I have done, particularly actually with Twilight, that's kind of, I don't know, that's been more of my inspiration to kind of do it more, because you see what a lovely effect that it has on people. people as well that you wouldn't expect them to kind of enjoy it when they come along and we sit in our little circles and, you know, we're doing whatever spell we're doing at the time, whether it's candle magic or we're actually doing an actual spell with ingredients. And the way that people come into the room to the way they leave is so lovely.
Yeah.
And that's definitely, for me, that's when it's kind of like, yes, that's why we do what we do. Because people leave so much happier, they leave calmer. And it's funny as well, you'll get people that will leave from that have never done it before and they love it and they enjoy it. And then afterwards they're like, that was so good, when can we do it again? And then they come on events, not even for the ghost hunting, but for like the 20-minute bit of magic we do on a Saturday. Do you know what I mean? It's bizarre. Hence why we kind of now do more witchcraft-based events, hopefully this year.
So as a witch, Gloria, obviously they're quite intuitive, they're natural intuition.
Right.
But you play with energies, from my understanding. So what experiences have you had? Because I know when you do a ritual or a spell, if I'm getting this right, there's got to be a balance in energies. Have you ever had, because I want the juicy bits, have you ever had a bad experience from a ritual that you've done of a karmic balance of the energy coming back?
Yes, we spoke about this, didn't we, when
we
had
did.
chat
No names.
And,
you're not allowed to mention the names.
No names. There was a time in my life that I'm very happy to kind of talk about now, and it was just a really sad kind of time, I think you would say. Yeah, I think it was a really sad time, and there was one person in particular who was really trying to make that a lot worse and going out their way all the time. And I never ever use magic ever for bad stuff. I just don't believe that's what it's for. Karma takes care of things itself normally, but this time I decided that it needed a bit of help. And I just kind of threw everything I had at this person, everything. I mean, how the desk didn't burst into flames, I don't know. And it was actually because there was a particular reason, but I wanted their teeth to fall out. And I know that sounds really, really awful, but they were just such a hideous person on the inside. I wanted everyone to see what a hideous person they could be on the outside. And it really did go wrong because that tooth right there fell out. I had to go and have surgery.
Oh,
so,
ouch.
This is the thing. This is the thing. Like she's back in the bum, so that 3 times 3 or 5 by 5 or apparently 10 times 10, you know. I mean, works.
Yeah,
so I mean, it kind of medal like that.
I mean, that I don't think anyone would do it again after that, but that falls on the area of, I suppose you could say, the law of attraction, or what you put out, you get back. I mean, thank you for sharing that, because not many people would share. We all go around saying, "Oh, I'm an angel. I've done nothing wrong, and I'm perfect." Not many people would share a truth like that. I do believe, and that's why we agreed for the show, that truth should be shared to warn other people. You know, when you start, and Chris knows, I truly believe this. If you start putting your so-called energy, lower energy on another, it will just come straight back and smack you in the face. And in your case, that happened. What a learning. What a learning.
You know what, when it happened, I just remember, because it was very serious. I actually had sepsis.
Oh, God.
My face actually swelled up like to double the size. Lord. I had to have it all drained. I had the tooth removed. They had to put a drain into my cheekbone.
Wow.
It was really traumatic. And I remember kind of sitting afterwards, just so sad. And I was still very sad about the situation that was going on anyway. And it was just a horrible time. And I was sitting in a hospital bed, and hospitals for me anyway, like kind of, it's like Piccadilly for the dead, isn't it, really? Do you know what I mean? So kind of I've got all that going on anyway. And kind of like seeing things walking past the room, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I sat there just thinking, do you know what? As much as I hate that person, I hate me more right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a really sobering moment for me. It was very personal. I've never shared this before, but it was a really sobering moment. And to be honest, it was kind of, then I stopped feeling sad. It was like I went home, felt better of the I felt, and I thought, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not feeling sad about that. I'm not even thinking about you. And I just kind of powered on through. And yeah, it was a rough few months after, but once I kind of got myself back to normal. Yeah, would never do that again. So yeah, no bad witchcraft.
No, but it's your honesty that is refreshing. You know, because me and Chris are aware of some people that do similar and different energies, and they just don't see the consequences of the action of exchange of energies. If you wish to put your attention on such low vibrational deeds, like I wish your teeth would fall out, eventually it will come back. It will come back, and that's the energy exchange, whatever we do to another human being. So thank you for sharing that. I wanted to go back. I've got to keep going back to the woods. Sorry, Chris, because obviously when I was a child, I love witches and witchcraft and all things, you know. I love like ghost hunts, and haven't been on one yet, but that's going to happen soon, trust me. Well, I will be hiding behind somebody when I go on it. However, I used to, my perception of witchcraft and what witches have done in the past, and I have studied somewhat, is it, to me, it seemed like magic. It was just the magic of life, the magic of nature, and the energy of nature. And I used to find that so beautiful as a child, and still as an adult. I mean, is that element of it the driving force behind you? We can say the word magic, it's simple, but it's not about the word magic. It's about the experience of being within Mother Nature, one with Mother Nature, and working with Mother Nature. Am I correct in that perception? Or
definitely. I think the thing is as well, I mean, just a quick reference. I mean, do you know when you watch like the Harry Potter movies, for instance, if you're a witch and you haven't watched it, get out, you know. But it's one of those ones, isn't it? And you watch it and you feel so good after, because it is that beautiful added bit of magic to life, isn't it? And I think that's what it is. You do kind of, it's that, I don't know whether it's kind of, I don't know, wistful thinking, but just thinking that everything, there's that little bit of added magic that you can add to things, and that things can be magical. Magic doesn't mean a potion, you know, bibbity bobbity boo. It's not like that. Magic can be a feeling, you know, when you say, oh my God, that person's just magical. Do you know what I mean? That kind of sense that you feel. And it is, I mean, it's the simplest thing from, you know, kind of thinking about someone you love, and then a little robin popping on your fence, and a little butterfly, whatever, you know, spirit animal corresponds to you. And that would resonate with me from my childhood, because it was always my nan, you know, who would point these little things out, and that's my magic moments. Do you know what I mean? When I see things like that, you know, the simple things, really. And it is magical, like you say, definitely.
I really thought Gloria was going to tell us that she used to dance naked in the woods, but she left that bit out, I feel. I'm only joking. But Laura,
are you going to ask me if I've ever danced naked in the woods?
No.
I'll get shot later. But do you use certain divination tools, Laura, yourself?
I
Because
do.
I know, like, if you sort of mediumship, psychic, whatever label you want to give it, they might use ribbons to do a reading, they might use leaves to do a reading, pictures, that sort of thing. Do you have certain tools that you use as a witch to enhance your craft, or to bring in your craft?
I don't know if it's enhancing. I think it kind of all comes in one little thing. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of part and parcel. Tarot is my first instant kind of route to divination that I go to. That works really well with me. Runes, not so much. I can't get along with runes. I just don't get on with it. And I think they're kind of more quick answers with runes. You know, you're kind of just getting a quick answer. With tarot, you can kind of go a lot more in depth. The psychic side, I don't know. I think kind of everyone can be a bit psychic, and I think kind of it's finding your route of divination that heightens that. You know, I mean, I do use the pendulum. That works fantastic for me, but dowsing rods just do not move in my hands. They won't work at all. It's really embarrassing on events. I've got to hold them, like, right, this way, guys, and that way, and I just have to fake it. They know I'm faking it, but so they don't work for me. But you know, the pendulum does. Tarot, like I said, is a very good route for me. I find focusing kind of on a candle as opposed to a crystal ball a little bit more effective for me as well. Everyone has like a different route they go down, I think, and something that works better for them. And for me, it tends to be tarot.
Can I follow on that? You've described this type of tools that we all use for different things. Have you ever experienced either by using these tools or through an incantation, or seen the elementals of any description. I want to hear a yes. I'm Irish. I want to hear a yes for leprechauns, because I was raised from an Irish family, and we were told that the leprechauns would steal the babies and put the defects in. So you know,
I haven't heard that. I didn't know.
Oh my God, you will be surprised what the Irish
I
families
just thought they had loads of gold. That was it. I didn't know about.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. But however, joking aside, have you ever? I mean, you hear of human beings that see fairies, and I don't say this minimising because I'm freezing your craft. I'm saying it truthfully. They see fairies, they see nymphs, some see leprechauns, some see, well, there's many, it's vast. Have you ever, either through using the tools, or why I'm asking the question is you could just be in that space and they appear? Has that ever happened?
Oh, I really want to give you a yes. I'm going to say kind of maybe yes. We were actually at St. Brival's Castle, which if no one has been, you must go to. It's just, I'm haunting that place when I die. It's breathtaking. And honestly, it's gorgeous. And we were kind of doing this vigil where we actually called forward the elementals. You know, that was specifically what we were doing. We had the spirit box, which is like a box and it makes a white noise. But it more of an echo, the ones that are more advanced now. And we had that going. And we were calling forward the elementals, and we kind of just waited for a little while. And it was so bizarre, and I don't even know really what it was, but it was nothing I've ever seen before. And it was literally a green ball of light that dropped from the ceiling so slowly to the point where it was happening like this as we're talking. We were all talking while we were watching it, and it dropped and just moved all the way across the room.
Wow!
Up into a light. And there was about 6 people in the room, I think, that could all testify to it. We all saw the same thing. We even kind of sat there thinking, oh my God, are we all going mad? Did we imagine that the green light coming out the ceiling was actually the firelight over there and our eyes have gone mad? And we were really trying to rationalise it. I don't know what it is we were looking at, but I know that we were calling forward the elementals and then this beautiful green light popped out of nowhere. So that's the closest that I could think of.
I mean, many
believe in fairies, though.
Oh, I do. Many, on a serious note, many think this is, you know, if you can't see it, feel it, or touch it, it doesn't exist. It's a bit like mediumship, I suppose. However, I cannot remember the scientist's name. Someone will correct me or remind me. And it was a good few years ago, and with plants and trees and everything. And they discovered and proven scientifically that plants and trees and all of these things in the experiment, if you went to harm the plant or burn the plant, the energy of the plant, the sentience of it, the consciousness of it was fully aware and would respond. I mean, you know, to me, I'm a novice in this field. Can't be good at everything, obviously, Chris, can I? So, and that gave me, years ago, when I started to study this and learn this, that gave me a different connection with the elementals, the understanding of the energies of nature. And I think that's basically what it is all about. So moving along, where I'm going to with this, if you go back historically to ancient times, we had the oracles or whatever they were labeled in them days. They had a great understanding of Mother Nature, the energy, the science of Mother Nature. And before science come along in the 20th century and did the experiment, said, yes, they can feel, they can sense fear and all of this. It was being done way back by witches, oracles, or fortune tellers, which I find amazing. But that was my connection. In my case, as a child, I believed in the fairies and the elementals. Obviously, children, it's wonderful having a magic childhood. However, it wasn't till the science proved it to me that I actually had a greater awareness of it and decided I'd like to know more. The reason I'm going down this road is now with yourself, you're bringing in this part of witchcraft into the paranormal, where we are aware from Chris Fowler last week, you're now using science here to record, connect, and validate the experiences that we naturally feel with Mother Nature and Earth and the plants and the elementals. Am I correct in that one? Is that, you see where I'm going with that?
No, definitely. And I think the thing is as well, like there's always a balance, isn't there? I think look, I'm completely with the fairies. My head is always up in the clouds. You know, I need literally to be dragged down. But there is that sensible side to me, you know, where things happen and you do have to kind of put your little science hat on for a minute and think, actually, let me just rationalize for a moment, because not everything you experience is genuinely, you know, paranormal or haunted or to do with the witchcraft. It might just be like, you know, you're calling for a noise to happen and that dodgy tap in the bathroom that you've never paid attention. You do know what I mean? So you do have to rationalize, and I think there is that beautiful blend of science coming together with nature. And I think that's kind of just the longest ongoing battle, isn't it? Is nature versus science.
Eons ago, science and nature. Eons
it's funny
ago.
What you were saying about like the plants, like reacting to things like that. I was having a reading done. This was so long ago, and actually before I really embraced any of the witchcraft side. And I was a grown up. I had my daughter. Doesn't think that makes me a grown up actually. But we were in Camden Market, and I went to have a reading with a guy. Looking back now, it was so bizarre. He had like a bed sheet wrapped around as some sort of costume. But he actually sat down and he did pick up on some things, and he was showing me actually pictures of water. And he was, because I was crying, and he was explaining to me that crying is good and letting go, you know, that energy is good, which, you know, we always say have a good cry, it's good. But he was showing me photographs of water that was set in different environments. And it's exactly true what you say, like, you know, plants, nature does respond to things, you know. And I think, to be fair, we could kind of go off on a tangent, couldn't we, really, talking about that for ages. But I just kind of wanted to validate that, really. And it's a really interesting thing to go down.
Yes, it is. I mean, obviously, we're all fully aware now with water crystals and harmonics and how harmony, vibration affects water. And as I'm saying, why I brought this into the conversation is moving forward with witchcraft. Where would you, or what would you, how do you see its contribution to spirituality in the future? We know the history and where it's gone. We're with the science now, obviously validating a lot. Where do you see witchcraft in the future, or its contribution to spirituality and us connecting? Well, we are connecting, more of us are connecting with Mother Nature. I mean, we've had a year of lockdown. And we've seen it, we've experienced it. We've all seen the skies and the seas, and we've had really weird animals walking down our streets because humans. So, where do you see it going? What contribution do you think witchcraft can offer us now?
I do think that it's going to be something where, you know, it might be eventually something that's taught in schools like all the other religions. That would be fantastic, because I think it would be really important actually for other people to not be, I don't want to say ignorant, because that sounds quite rude, but it is like an ignorance, isn't it, to other people's religion. I think like some people, you know, most of us could probably all claim that ignorance to a certain religion to a degree, but it would be really nice, first of all, for people to be educated on a small degree to it. And I think, like you said, this year has been a huge awakening for everybody in so many different ways. I think, like you said, seeing all that different nature, wasn't it wonderful watching nature come back to life this year? And seeing things we haven't seen. The canals in Venice, my God, you could see to the bottom. It's beautiful. And I think that kind of side of things, where we've all seen that happen. And I don't know, with every great kind of catastrophe in life, everyone always seeks to that kind of spiritual, that kind place that treats them kind after. And I think witchcraft is a really good place to start, because it's not just all about, you know, potions and lotions and bottles and spells.
No.
It is about that connection and that feeling. And I think a lot more people will be a lot more inquisitive about it maybe now. I think more kind of spiritually probably than witchcraft, I must say. I think people will be a lot more after kind of lockdown, they'll be more interested in that kind of side. But the kind of two do blend together, you know.
Yeah.
So once you're in one, either one, you kind of lend yourself to the other one.
Yeah.
So it's a
I mean,
natural
I have noticed through this year myself as well. I've gone to trips to the woods, and others have, and they've taken their children, and they're sort of reconnected with nature because we have not been distracted. And no, Chris, I'm not going to go naked in the woods, so don't even go there again, or you will die very young. Your suggestion earlier. But I saw the children and the adults and grandparents more. I've never seen so many in the woods and on the walk paths and reconnecting, because they were, in a way, the so-called disaster, which I don't think it was at all, was pushing them back to Mother Nature, pushing them back to the elementals. And I know for myself, it was a source of, it was a lifeline. And as I said, when I saw the videos of animals coming into the towns that would never come into the town, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
it was
then
like
you have that
live. It was beautiful.
Exactly. That you start to see you are actually living in conjunction with and part of Mother Nature. And it is an awakening for many. But also there was the other side of it, that you realize how our perception, our lack of understanding of the environment we live in, we impact other sentient beings and plants and everything. So for me, it was a vast opening, and I'm a great lover of Mother Nature. So going along that thread, how would you see that you could, okay, you've mentioned in schools, obviously systems have to change in the future. Is there any other way you think, are there, like, I mean, you do ghost hunts. Is there anything else that you could offer to communities, like, apart from dancing naked in the wood, as Chris has suggested I do?
Yeah, I don't think I'll open a naked dancing club just
yet. No. Sorry,
No,
Chris, it's not going to happen, okay?
No.
But what, you know, nature...
I think what you missed out.
Poor Chris.
What about nature? I mean, the nature walks. I mean, I know when I was younger, there used to be such things.
Yeah, we did.
About
we did
500 years ago. It must be that long. Nature walks, bringing young people back into nature, and things like that. Would you think that would be a way to go? And then to bring in, like, the craft and to explain the magic of nature, because basically you're just connecting with the magic which is already there. Yeah. And you're channeling that magic out. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I think, you know what, starting with children as well, I think that's probably like the best place to start, because children have got that beautiful innocence where they look at everything, and everything you said, like, okay, do you know, and they listen, they really absorb it. And I think I remember doing like nature club when I was at school, and again, for me, it wasn't actually like, oh, it's lovely, we're going to go and see the foxes today, see where the badgers live. It was more like, oh my God, we're going into the woods and it's so magical. And my head, because I was a child, it was so, you know, I'd read kind of, was it The Enchanted Tree? Enid Blyton or something like that. I can't remember, the Runaway Tree or something. And in my head, all these other things were going on whilst we're walking through the woods. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think definitely a good place to start is children, and educate them, like you said, like that, in schools. We do have, or I've started an online on Facebook, a group. I'm trying to be more active. I'm just spread very thinly. But we do have a group where every now and then I will pop on and we'll do a little live where we, you know, talk about tarot or crystals or whatever we're talking about that day. And we do a spell together. And it's just my way of helping people to kind of understand it, I guess, a little bit, and to actually be like, don't worry, we don't sacrifice chickens. Well, some people do, but we don't. And you know that it's kind of, you know, it's a nice thing to do. I think we're just trying to kind of, or I'm just trying to share what I know, and I'm not an expert by any means. I think, you know, no one can ever say they're an expert. There's always something to learn. And that's just kind of my view. There was no one really, when I got into it, to share any knowledge or show me anything. And it was literally like desperately clutching at straws of any bit of information. So it's nice to have that little hub that we have, and anyone interested can just go there and They can hang around in the background and be discreet and watch, or they can be vocal and ask questions. And I think that's a nice thing to have. I wish there was a little bit more of that when I first started, like 10, 11, 12 years ago.
No, it would. I agree. I mean, as children, we live in the magic, and obviously conditioning and labeling and identity and whatever social era you live in. However, it's really about, as an adult, or what we call adults, mature beings, to revive that magic. Because I found through the past year, going back into the woods, and I was well into the woods, and well, they were like assault courses for me, obviously, mountains and treacherous terrain. But I found the childlike coming out, the magic. And, you know, and as you're walking along, you go, did I see? You know, because it's always there. And I think the magic is within us all to reconnect at all times, not just by what we see on TV. And I think your craft is a way to reconnect to Mother Nature. And I hold great value, as much as I joke about witches, and as we all do, but the actual craft itself, I hold great value to it, because it allows you to reconnect to the childlike, free, you know, imagination, which is just absolutely, do we not need our imagination more than ever now?
100%, definitely.
A creativity, because Mother Nature in that connection brings out a creativity that is just, where did that come from? It's unbelievable. So I'm going to suggest you do, once we're all over this stuff, you get in, Laura, and you do your little witchy nature walks, and me and Chris will have to come along for that, won't we, Chris?
Yeah.
I think we're planning to kind of, I mean, that's Oak Raven in Gloucestershire. That's kind of what we do on the Saturday. It's kind of like a free day. And I always say to them, go for a walk, get out in the woods. If you're angry, go in the woods and just scream real loud, get into a field, go and hug a tree, go and find some little things that you want to add to your spell later. And it's just a good way for people to get out. Like you say, just it's the most instinctive thing to do, is to feel that way when you're in a place like that. And you feel like a kid again, don't you? Because it's something so simple, you know, and it's that
Laura,
magic.
Going back to you though, did you as a child mess with worms, or a fascination with digging in the mud? Because, you know, if a witch is all about nature and things like that, I would have thought that from a young age, when it came about to you, that would be something that would fancy. You know, when you say about kids and they've gone about, I got the rose petals and I made this, that, and the other, and mud pies, and it is a fun thing, and it, do you know what I mean? But is that something that made you feel there was more?
I mean, I didn't pick up any worms because I don't like bugs. I'm definitely not that kind of witch. My little brother, however, he's probably like a male witch. At a wedding once, it was my auntie's wedding, it was so embarrassing. There's actually a video of it with a pocket. He was a page boy, pocket full of worms, just from the roses outside. I know, gross. I was there were worms everywhere in the church, disgusting. I was more of a kind of making like perfume with rose petals kind of gal. I didn't get my hands dirty. And I've always kind of helped my nan in the garden, like planting and stuff. I didn't really go with the bugs and stuff when I was little, but it was always animals. My nan was very fortunate and lived next door to the wood. We'd be feeding the foxes and we'd always stay up late. And she had her little kitchen window and we could kind of look, and they would come so close to the window. And for me, when I was little, it was just the most incredible thing. And I remember one time she had like a family of hedgehogs in her garden. She was feeding a little mouse. It was half a digested biscuit. My nan would leave this mouse. And every night it would come out of her outside toilet onto the thing. And I mean, while all of this is going on outside, she had a crazy Staffordshire Bull Terrier that was going bananas at all this stuff going on outside. So animals everywhere, you know. The animal connection, I think, has always been very, very strong. I think that's kind of what makes us kind of softer humans. I think if you can appreciate animals, that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they live love unconditionally, don't they? Animals, there's such a
absolutely. I prefer my dog to most humans.
Altogether. And we can learn a lot from the animals, of the way that they are, the way that they
it's
be.
their loving way, isn't it? You know.
Yes.
I think. I mean, I love my dog.
Can I ask?
Like that.
You know, when you do your spell, so we've got to do the spell bit now. We have to do this bit. Do you go into the woods and use, you know, yes, I have watched the films. Do you go and pick, and do you know what to select? Or is it because you've read it in a book? If so, where do you get the book? If not, is it intuitive? You just, how does it work?
Some of it's intuitive. I mean, it's just like a normal thing, isn't it? As you grow up and get older, you know, I'm nearly 40 now. So it's natural.
That's it. Condemned.
Botox time. But no, I think it's one of those things that you just learn, you know, as you get to a certain age, you know that certain things help certain things. So that's easy to find. But obviously, if we're doing like a particular spell, we did the most gorgeous Yule log ritual at Christmas time at the beautiful Oak Raven. And we actually went out. We found the piece of oak. It was actually from the land, though. It was the guy that owns the building. He chopped it up for us. So that was a gift to us. And then we went out and we found all of the winter foliage that we needed for that particular. It's just more of a ceremony than a spell, I think, actually, the Yule log kind of ritual. But it was beautiful because we all did it together. We went through the woods. We all I was like, right, you guys, you're looking for them 2 ingredients. You guys, you're looking for them 2. And everyone had their own little thing. And it was just beautiful to come together. Everyone had their turn, putting their little bits on it and putting their little wishes on. And it was just a really gorgeous thing to do, I think, to be out in the woods. And everyone had so much fun. They were like kids running around. And I was kind of like teacher for the day, going, go on, go and find your little mistletoe. Go on, go find that ivy. It was really fun, really fun.
That leads me on to, though, it's all about experimenting then, I would say, isn't it? Intuition, you experiment with things, different things. Yeah. Would that be the nature then of a witch? And just to ask you as well, do you like that title, the witch? Do you call yourself Gloria the Witch? Because I know that label has so many different things to it, doesn't it?
Do you know, I would probably say when I'm in my safe environment, that I call it, that's when I'm with my people, when I'm with my Twilight people on events, when I'm with people that know who I am, then I would definitely say, yeah, I did a bit of witchcraft, and I would say that I'm a witch. I don't like putting out there like, yes, I'm a witch, because I don't know, it's a bit like patronizing. I don't know, it's weird. I don't like it. I don't know. It's like people do think it's like, oh, she's a witch, or oh, she's a witch. It's one or the other. They go forward or they go back. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's that I have had negative experiences and I've had extremely positive experiences. And it's odd because there's never like a grey area with it. It's either that way or that way. It's really
that's what I suppose I was getting at, because you like to experiment and you have that.
I think the thing is, it's nice to tell people that you do it, because it's not something like, I'm not embarrassed about it at all. And I know that what I do is a beautiful thing, and what we share and what everyone that's experienced it, they've had the most exquisite time. But people that don't know what you're doing, that have that negative reaction, the ones that go like that rather than go forward, they do sit there thinking that you're a bit tapped. They genuinely do. Like, I've had some awful experiences.
I think it's a case when a human being can become exceptionally ignorant, because, you know, if we don't understand something for some unknown reason, we fear it. We fear it. It seems to challenge our own belief system, and it's always going to come down to belief systems, no matter what topic we speak about. And I think you need to get past yourself or get over yourself, whatever the topic of the conversation is. I wanted to, I've got to bring this up. Now, I don't know how I'm going to put this into context here, but I'm going to do my best. Now, obviously, I've repeatedly spoke about your ceremonies in the wood. And going back historically through the ancients, there's always has been divination in the woods, ceremonies, always within Mother Nature. Way back in the day, it was a perfectly acceptable occurrence in society. It was a sense of society at the time. Somewhere along the line between that, and I'm bringing it up, I think why witches and the coven of witches, or the ceremonies they perform in the woods, I personally think it's overshadowed by what we would call the Satanists, or the other group that in the woods. And there's a reason, and it's not many people, I mean, I don't like any label, but I have to distinguish here the polarities. I think that's overshadowed the natural craft that you perform with the other that has been going on, and sort of muddied the waters. And I think if people could use some discernment and stop judging, they wouldn't go. Do you agree with that? I mean, that's how I'm seeing it.
Do you know what it is? I think the thing is as well, what we have a problem with is it's brilliant that I think, to be fair, witchcraft in a general term and everything has kind of heightened and people are more aware, but it's kind of like done quite loosely as well. Like even like clothes you can buy now, you can go to Camden and buy like a witchy top. And I don't know, people do get confused. It's the branding of things, the pentacle. You know, for instance,
oh my god,
and it does my head in. Honestly, it's one of those that you're like a bugbear, and oh my god, people are just like, oh, so you worship Satan, and you're just like, I my Satan, you know. But no, it's a confusion, isn't it? And it is really frustrating. And I think it stems from so many different areas. You know, people misunderstanding. You know, the rituals that we do, they misunderstand what it is that we do. There's two very different things. Satanism is way over there. Witchcraft. Well over there, you know, where rainbow ends apart.
And the polarities of experience. I mean, you know, we don't need to be too sensitive. We do know, back in the day, obviously witches, and even the other week we were speaking to Nuno and his grandmother that read the palms. She could have been shot and executed, a form of witchcraft. However, we do know the controlled religions at the time class these natural acts as demonic, and that residue is still running over the top with the Pentagon. I mean, if anyone got educated and went back, they'd realise what it was, but we're not going to discuss that. We digress, go off. And obviously I even joke about it with Chris, because I moved recently to, I call it the Hot Fuzz Village. And I'm sure if anyone's seen the movie,
really want to come now.
I live in that village, and it's just you banter. You know, I'm waiting. I'm going to go to the woods one night and watch the sacrifices. However, taking that away, I do believe it's because of the polarity of the craft, which is Satanism, the darker practices, experiences of consciousness overshadows your craft. And I think you've come a long way from being burnt at the stake, put it that way, or Nuno's grandma.
We have come a long way from there.
You wouldn't be on, obviously, live on a chat show if, and I do believe this past year has been an opening for not just your craft, but for everything under the umbrella of spirituality, which is consciousness. It is consciousness, and I think the way forward in your craft with Mother Nature, I think is going to make a massive change and help with the bigoted ideas of what your craft is about, and educate yourself. If I don't know something, I go and research it. If someone's coming on the show and I know I know nothing, then I will go off and research, and then come out of my belief systems and look at it objectively. That's the whole point of it. So,
sorry, Laura, Gloria's touched on, obviously I do the mediumship side of things, but I think it has an interlink in that sense anyway, because I deal with energy, just the same as the witch, if you like, want to give it that label, it's just labels, isn't it? But they deal with energy all the time, so it's the same principle of what we're doing, but it's for the greater good of ourselves on a journey of understanding, but also for the others that we help. So it's healing, isn't it? It's all about.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? And that's the point. I think, like you said, the ignorance of other people not understanding, but what you do, what I do, and like that whole umbrella, actually the majority of the people under that umbrella and what they do is actually really beautiful and so kind and so healing. And you know what? It gives people something that you can't go and buy in a shop. Do you know what I mean? And it is, we do the same thing, definitely.
And it gives you a greater understanding of who you truly are. the conscious being experiencing this. It's a path, it's a journey. And I think it helps we all have a limited aspect of ourselves. And I think going on discussing these journeys, sharing each other's journey, it allows you to break away and realize that you're not as limited as you've been told you are.
Absolutely.
You're not limited. There is more to you. Go in, investigate, go experience life. You know, most people, I don't think you can really experience being alive until you're in that moment, whether it be in a meditation or in the woods or whatever. It's about not limiting yourself. And in that way, you start to understand who you truly are, how you work. Instead of seeing nature as a separate, it becomes like a connection.
It should be part of you, shouldn't it? It should be that connection
should be part
that you feel
of you.
instantly.
Absolutely. Now, I can see we're running out of time here. Laura, thank you so much.
No, thank you, guys.
It's been absolutely wonderful. And thank you more for saving me from being interviewed by Chris.
I'm so sorry for being late. I can only blame my teenage daughter for not letting me have one lay-in this week on my week off, and today so she's still sleeping next door. I might go and jump on her now
I'd go and jump on her and give her what she gives you.
But thank you so much. Thank you.
But I was going to ask you, Laura, obviously other people that have an interest in witchcraft and what it's about, and they're just coming into that, or they're, do you know what I mean, trying to find that understanding. What help would you offer them? What would you say to them? Do you know what I mean about that craft?
I think, you know what, now it's a little bit different to where I was about 12 years ago. I mean, first of all, Facebook has expanded and all these social media platforms. Do you know what, Pinterest, actually, for witches that aren't too sure, there's a load of witches. I've got a Pinterest and I share like little spells on there from time to time. It's actually huge. You can go on there and find any spells that you want, which is really cool. So it's got technical, you can research now. You can delve into kind of little bits on the internet. We have our group as well. Find people that are into the same thing. You like said, spirituality, big umbrella, and there's lots of different avenues that you can try to meet people. Even spiritual church, you know, you get to meet people there on the same path as well. And I just think, if you're interested, then it's like you said, go and experience it, go and try for sure.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Laura. I haven't turned into the ice queen. I am so cold. It's unbelievable.
My little toes are freezing. I haven't got the heating on either.
I don't have any heating. I've been disconnected. No, I haven't. My heating's broke down. Thank you so much indeed. It's been wonderful speaking with you, as we knew it would be. I would like to... Sorry, Chris?
I was going to say, I will share your links.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So people can find you and see what it's all about and have that fun as well.
But thank you so much indeed. Now I'd just like to say, oh God, I am so cold. You have no idea how cold I am. It is so cold. I feel like the ice cream. Ice cream. See, I can't even speak. It's that cold. Now, I'd just like to say before we end the show is next week we have another beautiful soul coming onto the show, and it's Dee Light Codes, and Dee is going to share with us. Maybe we should just let Dee explain it. Dee had her spiritual awakening, and she started channeling sacred geometry. This is very close to me because I used to paint sacred geometry years ago. And she's going to come on the show. She's going to share her journey. She's going to help us understand what the light codes are and how it works and how creation emits these light codes. For me, it's quite scientific as well as spiritual. I could not do it justice to try and explain to you what Dee's about. She is a beautiful soul, is she not, Chris? She's magic. She's magic.
Oh, that sounds really interesting, actually.
So please join us next week, and she will talk about sacred geometry, the light codes. We will be displaying on Wednesday some of her artwork, so please, and I would suggest that you click on the pictures and what's it called, enlarge the pictures, and you'll see the light codes, and it really is like magic. The energy that comes off her artwork is unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to next Saturday. And once again, Laura, thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
And thank you to all our guests for joining us. We wouldn't be able to run the show without you. And we'll see you all next Saturday morning for Open Minds. I'm going to get my coat on. I'm freezing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye now. Bye. Oh.